Roasting squash isn't anything new, but I'm going to show you a really special way of doing it. It's called Hasselbacking, and what it involves is we'll cut it in half, and then widthways we'll cut slices down, leaving the bottom intact. So what that does is, because you've increased basically the surface area, there's more points for it to caramelize and crisp up. So instead of just having like one roasted bit of squash, you've got all these lovely crispy individual little bits. This works with squashes of all different sizes. Obviously, if you're doing it for a lot of people, use a big one. It's just me and director James today, and we're not that hungry, so we're just gonna do a little one. First thing what you want to do is you want to cut it lengthways, try to get it as even as possible, because we're going to cook both halves, and if one side is a lot bigger than the other, then it's not going to cook very evenly. Cutting any squashes, you want to get yourself the sharpest knife. A nice big heavy one would do. This won't work if you've only got a little paring knife, so get the biggest chopper you've got, make sure it's nice and sharp, and be really careful because the skin can be quite hard. Chop it nice and evenly down the middle, and when you're cutting through the stalk, you often have to give it a bit of a squish. Once you've cut them in half, you need to get the seeds and the little strands of seed goo out. Like I said before, don't throw these away. You can toast them off and they're just lovely to have in the cupboard. Easiest way, get yourself a spoon and literally just scoop them out onto the choppy board. Like so. Don't worry, you don't have to be too precious if there's any little fronds remaining. I mean, it's all edible, it's all squash at the end of the day, isn't it? But it just looks a little bit nicer if you do get all the little gubbins out. There you go. So to Hasselhoff a squash, what you want to do is get your knife. We're going to be cutting it widthways down. We're not going to be severing it completely because we want these little sections to stay intact. So what you can do is you can just use your knife and run it down, being super careful not to cut it all the way through. But this is actually easier said than done, and it's really easy to cut all the way through. So nice little trick. You get yourself a pair of chopsticks, put one either side, then when you slice down with the knife, it hits the chopsticks and it stops it severing, so it's a really sort of easy way to do it. The thinner the slices are, the more crispy it will go, but you want to kind of strike a balance. If you try and do it too thin, you'll be there all day and you'll probably mess up and actually cut through it a little bit too much. So I'm doing them about sort of 2 or 3 millimeters thick, basically as thin as you can get without worrying too much about it. Next, what you want to do, get an oven tray like this. Put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom, because the worst thing you can do is when you roast it and you don't put oil on the bottom, it'll stick to it. So then you finally put all the skill, love and attention, go to plate it up and it all falls apart. So put a bit of oil in the pan, get your squash on it, give it a swirl around, and then a bit more oil on the top. And the thing is, when you cut the squash, when it almost wants to like heal itself and stick back together. So what you want to do is drizzle with olive oil and just gently sort of massage it so that you know a bit of oil has gone through the gaps. Next, you just want to put a little bit of salt and pepper. And for this recipe, we're going to put some smoked paprika and rub it on the skin. And that just gives it a lovely sort of smoky taste and a beautiful brown sort of glow once it's cooked. We're going to put it in a preheated oven, 180 degrees. Ding. Whilst the squash is in the oven, for the first 10 minutes, we're going to make our glaze. So it's a combination, really simple: butter, honey, mustard, balsamic vinegar, paprika, and a bit of seasoning. And why we're not adding this straight away is because the squash needs to have time to cook a little bit first. If we add the glaze on straight away, it'll be in the oven for too long and the glaze will burn, and we don't want that. So every 10 minutes, after the first 10 minutes, we're gonna bring the squash out and we're gonna glaze it. You can also stuff some herbs in, so this works really well with rosemary, thyme, but today we're gonna use bay leaf. So this has been in the oven now for 25-30 minutes. I've glazed it twice. You know it's done because it'll be super soft to the touch. It'll be nice and brown, nicely caramelized and ready to put on the plate. There you have it, Hasselback butternut squash. It's delicious. If you've got anything to say, any suggestions, then leave us a comment. There'll be plenty more squash recipe videos coming. Hit the notification bell and stay tuned for more weekly videos.